Hearty welcome to all my students. In today's class, we shall revise the chapter The Earth, Our Living Planet. Where are we living, children? We are living in the Earth, and it is the third planet from the Sun. And the Earth is called by different names. What are those names? Yes, living planet, unique planet, watery planet, and blue planet. Why is it called as living planet? Do you know? Yes, the Earth is a home for all forms of life like plants, animals, and human beings. So we are calling it as living planet. Why it is called as unique planet? Unlike other planets, it supports life and it has life-supporting gases, atmosphere, water cycle, and it is located in the suitable distance from the sun and the range of temperature which suits for the life in the planet. So it is called as unique planet. And next, watery planet. Why is it called so? Yes, 2/3 of the Earth is covered by water. So we are calling it as watery planet. And blue planet. The next one is blue planet. Over 70% of the Earth's surface is comprised of water. Right? And it produces vivid blue color when viewing from space. So it is called as blue planet. Now do you all understood why we are calling in different names? Now let's move on to the size of the Earth. The Earth is approximately 4 times greater than the Moon. And Sun, while comparing Sun, the Earth is 107 times lesser in its diameter. The total surface area of the Earth is 510 million square kilometers. In it, 361 million square kilometers are water surface. The water surface is 361 million square kilometers, whereas land surface is about 149 million square kilometers. And the ratio between land and water is 1:2.43. Now, let's see the land bodies and water bodies. The land bodies of the Earth are known as continents. And the water bodies, the large water bodies are called as oceans. And there are 7 continents and 4 major oceans. The 7 continents are North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. The 4 major oceans are Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, and Indian Ocean. The largest and deepest ocean is Pacific Ocean. The smallest and shallowest ocean is Arctic Ocean. The only ocean named after a country is Indian Ocean. Do you all understand now? Now let's move on to the shape of the Earth. Shape of the Earth. Often the shape of the Earth is called as, or else we are calling the Earth as geoid, which literally means earth-shaped or oblate spheroid. Why are we calling so? Because it is flattened at the poles and bulges at the equator. How do we know that? Yes, it is proved. It is proven as the polar diameter and the polar circumference is lesser than the equatorial diameter and equatorial circumference. The difference is about 42 kilometers in diameter is the proof for regarding the geoid shape of the Earth. So now do you all understood why is it called as geoid and the shape of the Earth? You would have understood now. And the land bodies of the earth are called continents. Already we have discussed the land bodies of the earth are called continents, and there are 7 continents. And the large water bodies are called oceans. There are 4 major oceans. And here we are calling land hemisphere and water hemisphere. What is called land hemisphere? In the earth, there are imaginary lines. That is vertical line and horizontal line. In that, the equator divides the earth into 2. That is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere is called as land hemisphere. Why are we calling so? Do you know? Yes, the northern hemisphere has 60% of land and 40% of water. Therefore, it is called the land hemisphere. On the other hand, if you see southern hemisphere, there is 81% of water and 19% of land. So we are calling southern hemisphere as water hemisphere. Now let's learn about lines of latitude and longitude. As we know, the earth is spherical in shape. Therefore, it is difficult to locate the places, direction and calculate distance between the places. In order to understand the relations between different places, the network of lines are drawn on the globe. You can see here, the horizontal lines are called as lines of latitude and the vertical lines are called as lines of longitude. And the central line of latitude is called as equator. And here the central line of longitude is called as prime meridian. Now let's move on to the discussion of latitudes and longitudes. The latitude is an imaginary line which joins all the places at same angular distance north or south of the equator. It is measured in degrees. The equator is the longest line of latitude known as the Great Circle, and it is equal to the circumference of the earth. Other lines of latitudes are shorter in length. While comparing the equator, the other lines of latitudes are shorter in length. Now let's move on to the facts about lines of latitude. And these lines of latitude are known as parallels. And it runs in an east to west direction. And the lines of latitudes are helping us to measure distance north or south from the equator. It helps us to measure whether the place is situated in the northern side or southern side of the equator. And these lines are parallel to one another and never meet. And it crosses the prime meridian at right angles. These lines of latitudes lie in planes that cross the earth axis at right angles. And these lines of latitudes getting shorter towards the poles, and the only longest latitude is equator, and it is a great circle. Now let's move on to the important latitudes. There are 7 important latitudes. They are North Pole, which lies at 90 degree N or north latitude, and the Arctic Circle lies at 66.5 degree north, and Tropic of Cancer is at 23.5 degree north. Equator is in 0 degree. Tropic of Capricorn is at 23.5 degree south latitude. Antarctic Circle is at 66.5 degree south, and South Pole is at 90 degree south. Understood? These are the important latitudes. Now, let's see about the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Already we discussed about the equator, which divides the globe into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And whereas the prime meridian divides the globe into 2, that is western hemisphere and eastern hemisphere. Now, let's move on to the longitudes. The longitudes are the imaginary lines that intersect equator at right angle joining the north and south are called longitudes. So now do you understand what are called longitudes? The imaginary lines that intersect equator at right angle joining the north and south are called longitudes. Some facts about lines of longitude. Lines of longitude are also known as meridians. Are we calling it as meridians? Do you know? The word meridians means midday because all the places along the same meridian of longitude experience noon or midday at the same time. So we are calling it as meridians. All the lines of longitudes we are calling as meridians. And it runs in a north to south direction. And it helps us to measure distance east or west of the prime meridian. And these lines of longitudes are farthest apart at the equator and meet at the poles. If you see the lines of longitude in the place of equator, that is the distance between two longitudes are far in equator, but whereas in the poles they are meeting each other. And the distance between these two longitudes at equator is about 111 kilometers. You all understood? The distance between two lines of longitude in equator is about 111 kilometers. And these lines of longitude cross the equator at right angles. And these lines of longitude lie in planes that pass through the Earth's axis. And these lines of longitudes are equal in length. While comparing latitudes, the different latitudes are having different length. But here the lines of longitude are equal in length. And these lines of longitudes are half great circle. So if you see one line of longitude, it looks like a semicircle. And if you join two longitudes, it's looking like a full circle or the great circle. The longitudes are shown as a series of semicircles that run from pole to pole, that is from North Pole to South Pole, passing through the equator. All lines of longitude are of equal length. Longitudes are also called as meridians. Already we have discussed because all places along the same meridian of longitude experience noon or midday at the same time. So we are calling it as meridians. Now you can see here in this picture, there is a 0 degree, that is 0 degree longitude, and 0 degree towards east, 180 degree east, that is towards east, 180 degree is called as Eastern Hemisphere. 0 degree to 180 degree east is called as Eastern Hemisphere. Same way, 0 degree to 180 degree west is called as Western Hemisphere. So the prime meridian divides the globe into Eastern Hemisphere and Western Hemisphere. Yes. And these 180. So towards Eastern Hemisphere, there is 180 degree of longitude, and towards Western Hemisphere, 180 degree of longitudes are there. If you add together, we are getting 360 degrees of longitudes. You all understood? 360 degree of longitudes. We are getting a full circle. Now let's move on to longitude and time. The Earth is rotating on its axis and completes one rotation in 24 hours. Understood now? The Earth is rotating on its axis and completes one rotation in 24 hours. This means 360 degree longitudes are covered in a period of 24 hours. We are getting day and night in 24 hours. By this time, the Earth completes its one full rotation. Now let's see here. 360 degree divided by 24 hours equals to 15 degree, which means the Earth rotates at 15 degree each hour. The Earth rotates 15 degree each hour. Each hour the Earth rotates 15 degree. And 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. If you divide 60 minutes by 15 degree, we are getting 4 minutes. It shows that Earth rotates 1 degree in 4 minutes. Do you all understand now? Yes, do you all understood? Now let's move on to the local time. The time according to the longitude of a place or according to the position of sun at that place is known as a local time. When the sun is shining vertically over the longitude, it is 12 noon at that place. All places situated on the same meridian have the same local time. Every longitude has its own local time. Now let's see the difference between standard time and local time. The standard time is the time of the standard meridian of a country. Every country has its own particular standard time and it remains the same for the whole country. So why it has to remain for the whole country? We'll see now. In order to avoid confusion, many countries follow uniform time throughout the country. Such uniform time is based on the central meridian of the country or the meridian on which the most important city is located. And this uniform time of the country is called standard time. So especially to avoid the confusions, because for example in the last class we have discussed about the trains. The trains, it starts its origin and it has to reach the destination in different places of a country. So if you are following different local time in different places, it arises with some confusion. So in order to avoid those confusion, we are following the standard time. Now let's see about local time. The local time refers to a time at a particular place, that is the time when the midday sun is directly overhead. Directly overhead. Different places in the same country have their own local times. Places on the longitude always have the same local time. Now, do you all understood the difference between the standard time and local time? Yes. Now, let's move on to the Indian Standard Time. The Indian Standard Time was adopted in the year 1947. And the difference coordinated with Greenwich Mean Time is plus 5:30 hours. That is 5 hours 30 minutes. We have to add 5 hours 30 minutes with Greenwich Mean Time. Then we'll be getting Indian Standard Time. And the longitude reference is 82.5 degree east. The longitude is 82.5 degree east, or else 82 degree 30 minutes east longitude is taken for the Indian Standard Time. And this longitude is passing through Allahabad of Uttar Pradesh. That is exactly over the Central Observatory, which is situated in Shankargarh Fort, Allahabad district, Uttar Pradesh. Let's move on to what are time zones. Time zones are defined by lines of longitude. Lines of longitude are broken into 15 degree increments. Each 15 degree span represents 1 hour. That is 360 degree divided by 15 equal to 24. Thus, there are 24 time zones in our world. The whole globe is divided into 24 time zones, so that time in each zone differs from the other by only 1 hour. Time is measured from the Naval Observatory in Greenwich of England. And this place exactly the prime meridian passes through. That is Naval Observatory in Greenwich of England. In this place exactly the prime meridian 0 degree longitude passes through. And from here the time is measured. Large countries like Russia, USA, Canada and Australia have vast longitudinal extent. Therefore, they have different time zones. Russia has about 11 time zones, and USA, Canada have 5 time zones, and Australia has 3 time zones. Now, let's move on to international dateline. There are 180-degree lines of longitude on each side of the prime meridian. On the opposite side of prime meridian is not 0. That is 180-degree line of longitude is there. That 180-degree lines of longitude is called as international dateline. Now, do you all understood what is international dateline? Yes. Now we'll discuss in detail. The international dateline is an imaginary line of longitude on the Earth's surface located at about 180 degrees east or west of the Greenwich meridian. And this line separates 2 calendar days. The international dateline is an imaginary line of navigation on the surface of the Earth that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole and demarcates the change of one calendar day to the next. It passes through the middle of the Pacific Ocean, roughly following the 180-degree line of longitude, but deviating to pass around some territories and island groups. As we have discussed, the international dateline separates 2 calendar days. That is, if a person moves from America to Asia, he gains a day. In case if he is moving from Asia to America, he loses a day. Do you all understood now about international dateline? Yes. And in today's class, children, we have revised the chapter, The Earth, Our Living Planet. And in the next week, you have a class test. The class test will be conducted on 28/7/2020, that is on Tuesday. And question paper will be posted in the group. And meanwhile, children, you have to keep your test notebook ready. And that is 80 pages single line, king size notebook. You have to utilize for your class test. All the best, children. Prepare well for the test. Read through the reader. Watch the video class properly. And be ready for the test. All the best, children. Thank you all.